The reality is that I think part of the trust issue is people want to understand why she's actually running, what is she doing, what is she doing this for, and I think she laid that out very clearly yesterday.
And there's Mr. Trump, his first appearance since Hillary Clinton accepted the nomination. Let's listen in.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I have to tell you this. This is why our country doesn't work. You understand? So we have thousands of people in a room next door. We have plenty of space here. We have thousands of people outside trying to get in. And we have a fire marshal that said, oh, we can't allow more people. It really is so unfair to the people. I'm so sorry, and I have to apologize, but it's not my fault. I just came here. But we have thousands of beautiful, wonderful, great people outside, and we have in the room next door over 1,000 people. They won't let them in. And the reason they won't let them in is because they don't know what the hell they're doing. That's why, okay? Too bad. That's why our country has problems. Hey, maybe they're a Hillary person. Could that be possible? Probably. I don't think there are too many of them. Anyway, they set up a screen in the other room. They set up something outside. But what a disgraceful situation. So, but you people can't be complaining, right? You can't be complaining. All right. So much to straighten out in this country. This is the kind of thing we have in federal government also, by the way, folks, you know? And then you wonder why we're going to hell. That's why we're going to hell. It's a thought. You know what it is? It's the thought process, right? So I watched last night. I watched Hillary Clinton. What a sad situation. And by the way, they're going to let some of these people, I just was informed, they're going to let some of them meander in. Too bad. But I watched her last night giving a speech that was so average. And I watched last night as the network said, it was all right, it was good, they were fine. And then I watched this morning. It was unbelievable. It was so wonderful. It wasn't wonderful, folks. And then I read the report that just came out. I can't believe it. In Politico, I can't believe that. And they wrote something, all cliches, all just written up by a scriptwriter. And it was all cliches. You know, they used a little tweet one on me about tweet. And she said something about the campaign. Donald Trump doesn't know how to campaign, something like that. I just beat 16 people, and I'm beating her. You know? No, thank you. I'm watching it. Oh, and by the way, this is very important. So the Nielsen ratings just came out. These aren't polls. These are for television much more important than polls. You know, television, these guys don't care about they don't care about polls. They only care about ratings. And the Nielsen ratings just came out. So it's Trump against Clinton, right? And, you know, you heard about how wonderful, because I'll tell you what, I liked the Republican convention better. I did. I liked it better. I thought we had a far more beautiful set, like not even a contest. How about the first night? They had no American flags up on the stage. Second night, no American flags. And then I started saying, there are no American flags up there. And then they run up with a flag, right? And then last night, they put so many flags. You know, it's called overkill. It's called incompetence. They put so many flags up there, you didn't know what to do. But let me just tell you, so Thursday to Thursday, that's the big one, right? Thursday. We beat her by millions on television. By millions. We beat her by a lot. And they both did good. Really, we beat her by a lot. But honestly, the numbers were incredible. Which tells you, isn't it good to have Trump running for the presidency? Now, let me ask you. So we beat her. And I think you tuned in out of curiosity with her. Most people of you, I was actually more curious. I was curious to see whether she'd do a class act and not mention my name, or mention it with respect. Like say, I'd like to congratulate my Republican opponent for having done something that nobody has ever done in the history of politics in this nation. And I would like to congratulate my opponent for having gotten more votes than anybody in the history of the Republican Party in the primary system. See, I thought she might do something like that. I thought she'd give me a big, fat, beautiful congratulations. You know, if she did that, would that have been cool? Would that have been great? I thought her daughter did very well, by the way, Chelsea. I thought she did very well. And my daughter likes Chelsea, and Chelsea likes my daughter. What are you going to do? That's the way it is, right? That's okay. That's okay. My daughter likes Chelsea. Ivanka did great, right? Ivanka did great. But I asked Ivanka, I said, do you like Chelsea? I do, Dad. Really? No, I really do. I wish you didn't. It would be a lot easier, right? No, but they like it. And Chelsea likes Ivanka. And so I think that's nice. And that's the way life is, and that's the way life should be, right? Don't we agree? It's okay. It's okay. But I had an amazing time. And I watched last night as different people spoke. Much of it was scripted. Much of it was scripted. I see some people. You know what was funny? I said yesterday at one of the rallies, with these massive rallies, honestly, much bigger than this, but not much bigger if you let all the other thousands in, but much bigger. This is like an intimate gathering. It's true. It's true. But I said to some of the people, look at that. And then yesterday at the rally, I said, boy, because I had some people up there that I knew, and I actually saw their names. And I said, well, why would they put them up? They're going to speak so positively about me. I was wrong. And I said, oh, I'm going to hit them. I'm going to get them. Am I going to get them? I'm going to start talking about them like you never believed. I'm going to hit them. Now, obviously, I'm talking about with my verbal. Said, I'm going to get them. I'm going to let them have it. Maybe a tweet or maybe this or that. But I'm going to hit them hard. So, I'm going to hit them hard. So on CNN this morning, I see, on the bottom, Trump says he's going to hit speakers. I mean, they are so dishonest. I'm going to hit speakers. Ay, ay, ay. That's why we have to win, right? That's why we have to win. I'll tell you, CNN is really, they call it the Clinton News Network. It's really a dishonest group of people. They are terrible. Oh, their camera just went off. I see the red lights. I know all the cameramen by now, right? Hi, fellas. But I see the red lights. That red light just went off so fast. It was funny. We were having fun yesterday. They said really bad things. I'm going to hit them. I'm going to hit them hard. We're going to get them. And in fact, I even called up a friend of mine, a governor called up. He actually called me. He said, you're doing great, fantastic. And I talked about the thing. He said, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Don't say anything bad about anybody. Don't talk. I told them the story yesterday. And then they put Trump to hit, because at some point I said, I'm going to hit them. I'm going to hit them hard. I mean verbally, right? Does everybody understand? Headline, Trump threatens, right? I don't know if they said that, but it is really. I'll tell you, CNN is so dishonest. It's actually disgusting. You want to know the truth. So So isn't it better when we don't have these teleprompters, right? Right? I watch Hillary. No matter where she goes, she's got teleprompters. And I like using teleprompters. They're really good. But you know, she's got teleprompters. And I like using teleprompters. They're really good. But you know, honestly, when you do these things, wouldn't it be bad if I'm standing here like this and I'm going, ladies and gentlemen of Colorado, welcome.
I'm Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room. We're continuing to carry Donald Trump's response, his first response to Hillary Clinton's speech at the Democratic Convention. Let's listen in.
And she had a speech this morning, and they're reading teleprompters. You know, if she has a group of 12 people, she's got teleprompters in front. And then she doesn't do news conferences. She hasn't done one in 237 days, something like that. She hasn't done a news conference in something like 237 days. And honestly, the reason is you couldn't do a news conference because they'll ask her about all the different things that she's done. They'll ask her about the FBI saying she's a liar. They'll ask her about all of the emails that she deleted or erased or got rid of. 33,000 emails. You know, the ones that were done for her yoga class, right? Yoga. The ones that were done for the wedding. 33,000. I've done a lot of weddings. I haven't said 33,000. I mean, how stupid is everybody? How stupid are we to hear this? 33,000 emails for the yoga. Yoga and a wedding, and they were personal. I'll bet you in this room we have people that probably... I'm not a big email person. You know why? I'm intelligent. I know about email. I'm not a big... I don't like email. You know what I like? I like the old days. I like the days because today they just announced somebody else was hacked and another group was hacked. Everybody's being hacked, okay? They have no idea who's doing it. These things are amazing. You know, the kids growing up, I have a young boy, Barron. He's very smart, but he's using the computer so much. We put it on lock, right? No way he can find out. I mean, I don't know what happened. So we go back about an hour later, and he's playing with the computer. We had it on lock. And we said, wait a minute, we had it on lock. You needed a sequential number. And we said, Barron, how did you do that? I'm not telling you, Dad. No, these kids are genius. And it's getting worse and worse because they live with it. You know, I grew up and it was a certain age they started. Now they live with it. It's like their right arm. They can do it so well. And I like the old days, especially for the military and things like that, right? You want to attack. Or you want to do something. It's called courier. It's called, let's put it in a thing, put it in an envelope, and let's hand it to the general. Let's not send it over the wires so everybody's probably reading it, right? And no matter how good they say it is, people can hack it, I guess. I mean, it's just terrible. And, you know, if you talk about military and you talk about all these secrets, and you even talk about politics, and you talk about all of this stuff. It's very confidential stuff. And then you find out the hacking is all over the place. I hear China is brutal. They say Russia is excellent. And you have guys sitting in their home that are very good. You have people, men and women, sitting in their homes that are better than the people that are the inventors. And I don't know, there's something about, you know, General Douglas MacArthur, right? They'd have a guy come, he'd say, sir, here it is. That's it. The risk is from there to there. General George Patton, I guarantee you, General George Patton, who was rough as hell, he wouldn't be doing emails when he's going to be ready to attack. If he were around, he'd say, I don't like that system at all. So, thank you, darling. I love you. I love you. I love you, and I think it's a guy. I mean, I don't know. Who the hell cares? Thank you. Oh, no, it's not. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now I see you. I like that much better. I appreciate that. So, thank you, honey. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, the thousands of people on the other side that the fire marshals aren't being very nice to, they don't love me so much right now, okay? But that's okay. And we're going to come over and see them. when this is finished. Should I do that, or should I stay with you longer? Let's go over, right? We'll come over. We're going to come over. We're going to come over. So a lot of things happened. And I found last night interesting because we're going to get a lot of Bernie supporters, I think. And Bernie made a big mistake. The mistake he made, and this is the beauty of doing speeches like this, because it was late in the night and I saw it, and she was thanking Bernie and talking about Bernie, and he's sitting there like glum. Did you notice that? No smile. His wife pats him on the back, and she pulled her hand away. Whoa. Whoa. Did you see that? A pat on the back. Darling, I love you. And pulls it back, and she was a little bit concerned there. But he was angry. And then a second time they showed him, and he was angry. And you know what? Honestly, he made a big mistake. Because we have the best movement of all. We have far more people than anybody. We have the most important. I tell people, Bill O'Reilly said the greatest single phenomena he's ever seen in politics. Us, all of us. All of us. You, all the people outside. Man, they had people lined up in the driveway all the way up. But this is one of the great movements in the history of our country. Our movement is much better than Bernie, but I'll tell you where Bernie blew it. He sold his soul to the devil. He did. He had a great thing. I was so surprised because he seemed like a tough guy. He was like tough. And then in the end, he folded. And I said yesterday, and it's true, he wanted to go home. He wanted to go to sleep. Okay? That's what it was. But you know, had he not folded, and his people haven't folded, because his people were angry. Now, just to show you how unfair it is, if that would have happened in the Republican convention, they would have said, catastrophic evening. People are screaming. Did you see when they had the moment of silence for the police? And by the way, the only reason the police were up on that stage on the fourth night was because I was complaining they don't have any police up there, right? They put the police up because they were getting a lot of heat. But they don't mean it. The difference is I mean it, okay? We're going to be law and order, and I mean it. We're going to be great. We're going to be great. But did you see what happened when they had the moment of silence for the police? Tough situation. Tough situation. Not good. Not good. And then you have Bernie, and he makes the deal. And then they pick a vice president that's exactly the opposite of Bernie, okay? He believes in TPP, which is a disaster, by the way. We'll never approve it. They'll approve it. How about where Terry McAuliffe, the governor of Virginia, comes out and said, don't worry, Hillary will approve it after the election. See, that's the way it is. And it will take your jobs away almost as bad as NAFTA, which was approved by Bill Clinton, right? NAFTA, a disaster. NAFTA has cleaned out so many states in this country. Look, New York State. You look at New York State. You look at New England. You look at Pennsylvania, what NAFTA has done to Pennsylvania where these companies moved to Mexico. A friend of mine is a builder. He builds plants. Plants. If you told him to build an apartment, he wouldn't know where to begin. He builds plants. Big, big plants. One of the biggest. And maybe I'll use him to build the wall. What a great idea. Got a lot of smart people. Somebody shouts out, let him build the wall. We will. We have smart people. But this guy builds big, big plants, you know, automobile plants and computer technology plants. And this is what he builds. He builds plants. One of the biggest, maybe the biggest, one of the biggest. And he started off building in the United States years ago. And he'd build plants in the United States. So I see him the other day and I say, how's it going? Good. How's business? Unbelievable. I said, great. I thought that was good for the United States. Right? I said, how many plants you building? Many. He said, you've got to see what's happening in Mexico. Now, by the way, this guy's better than a consultant. If I hire a consultant, I'll hire some guy that, you know, that's terrible, to tell me what's happening, right? They'll charge you $1 million. He'll give you a report in 7 months from now. They have to take a long time, otherwise they can't charge as much, right? This guy tells me in 2 minutes. In 1 minute. I learn better about what's happening from him, talking to him about how's his business, than I can learn from some phony consultant. Because if he was any good, he would have been the one building the plants, right? You know. So, an amazing thing, an amazing thing. So I said, so what's going on? He goes, you got to see Mexico. It's the eighth wonder of the world. He said, we are building the biggest, the most sophisticated, the most incredible plants all over Mexico. I say, what about the United States? Not so good. Like, who cares? And actually, he'd much rather build in the United States, but not so good. He said, not so good. And I said, what does that mean? He said, well, we're doing a little work, but not much. But Donald, you have to see Mexico. I say, no thanks. But he goes, what we're doing there is incredible. How stupid are we, folks? How stupid are we? Our companies are moving to Mexico and other places while crooked Hillary Clinton, who's crooked as a $3 bill, while crooked Hillary Clinton sits there and makes up stories. Donald Trump didn't do well in his campaign. I said, I just beat 18 people or 17 people. Whatever. Donald Trump. No, it was all written by, it's what? Politico. I can't believe I'm talking about Politico. Because Politico is terrible to me. But Politico wrote, all cliches, not good, okay? But somebody wrote it. She probably didn't notice it. But I'm being recognized for having done one of the most legendary campaigns in the history of politics in this country. And she puts in her thing right after the tweet. If somebody tweets, he gets upset. I get upset? I don't get upset. I don't get upset. Somebody wrote that. You know, it was a nice little soundbite, right? They just announced I have over 22 million between Twitter and Facebook. 22 million people. It's like, I don't get upset. If somebody tweets, I do what I do. Who cares? I'll tell you, I think I have the best temperament, or certainly one of the best temperaments, of anybody that's ever run for the office of president. Ever. Because I have a winning temperament, I know how to win. Because my whole life I've been winning. My whole life I've been winning. And I think I have one of the best temperament, because we have to start winning, folks. We don't win anymore. We can't beat ISIS. We can't beat China in trade. And then they go and build this massive fort in the middle of the South China Sea, which they're not supposed to be doing. They only do it because they don't respect us. So they take our money, they take our jobs, they take everything. They sell us the products, no tax, come on in. Our manufacturers want to sell to China. They can't get in. And if they ever do get in, they have to pay a tax that's so high. Or they have to build their plants over there. And they don't even want them to do that. Honestly, a friend of mine, Greg, they said, well, we don't want your product. And then they gave a tax rate, which I won't even say because it's so high, nobody's going to believe it. But then they said, build your plant over here, but we don't even want you to. They don't even want us there. Okay? They don't even want us to build. Now, Boeing, they ordered 300 jets, and they made Boeing build massive plants. And watch what happens in Seattle, and watch what happens in a number of years when those plants are built. Watch what happens in South Carolina, where I love those people in South Carolina. They gave me the biggest victory. Remember, I was supposed to lose? I was supposed to lose. Highly evangelical, but the evangelicals love me. Highly evangelical. I won with the evangelicals. Highly military. South Carolina, big military. Colorado, big military. Big military. Big. And I went in, and you watch what they do. South Carolina built big Boeing plants. They have a big, big plant. Beautiful. I love seeing it. I love seeing this stuff. They actually moved part of their operation from Seattle. Seattle, big plants. So they think it's good. New plants, everything good. Great people, great labor force. But China's forcing them to build plants in China. Now, when China devalues its currency, and when Boeing, in a number of years, just remember, I said it. Oh, don't worry. If I'm president, it won't happen. It won't happen. President. If I'm president, Boeing will be very happy, believe me. Because it won't. They may be unhappy that they built the plant in China, but they're not going to have to worry about South Carolina and Seattle. But remember I said it, just in case. we don't make it because you people get lazy and don't vote, okay? Colorado is very important, very important. So just remember I said it. When that plant's finished, when they start operating, and when China does a massive devaluation of its currency, and when you go and order your brand new jetliners for all of the different airlines, and when they find out that the planes are going to be made in China, not in South Carolina and not in Seattle, not in this country, because we have people that are incompetent running our country. When you see that, and I hope you don't see that, because if you see that, that means that I didn't win, and that won't be good. That won't be good. So here's the story, folks. When you see that, if you see that, it'll be a sad day. And I told the Boeing folks, I said to Boeing, I said, you know, you have a big investment. What happens if the plant that they're being forced to build in China becomes much more active and you start making all of your planes there? Oh, well, I don't think that will ever happen. Watch. Watch. We're dealing with grand masters of currency manipulation. One of the reasons, among many, that I'm against Trans-Pacific Partnership is they don't cover currency manipulation. And in fact, one of my opponents in politics fought very, very hard that no currency manipulation be mentioned in the documents. This is a U.S. politician. I won't mention the name. I should, but I won't. The people, you know what? Call Washington, they'll tell you. They didn't want currency manipulation mentioned. Currency manipulation is the single biggest tool that foreign governments use to beat us and to destroy our companies and to destroy our trade and to get rich and to rebuild their countries as we suffer. We're like a third world country. We have rotten airports. We have airports. You go over to Dubai. You go over to places in China. You go over to other places in the Middle East. You'll see airports the likes of which you've never seen. I went to Dubai a number of years ago, and they were treating me great. I mean, it was great. Great visit. Unbelievable what's happened there. But they have an airport that's so unbelievable. So the head of the airline is showing me around, and it's really good. And I'm looking at the terminal. I say, this is one of the most beautiful, and I'm good. I mean, I'm a really good builder. I build under budget and ahead of schedule. By the way, I had a meeting with your great newspaper, and I really like the editorial board of that newspaper, okay? You know who I'm talking about. These are great people. And they would tell me there's a Veterans Administration hospital that had a $1.2 billion cost overrun in this area. No, think of that. Think of this. I'm building a hotel in Washington, and I'm under budget and ahead of schedule by 1 year. Think of it. And it's peanuts compared to $1.2 billion. What is this? That's just a cost overrun. And this is happening all over the country. When you build a road, when you build an airport, some of the richest people in this country are people that can't even read or write. They're called friends of mine, contractors. They might not read or write, but they're a lot smarter than the guys coming out of Harvard. I want to tell you, they can take them and wrap them around their finger. No, I did an editorial board meeting a little while ago. I really like that group. Of course, if they write badly about me, I'll take it back. Okay, we'll be back here again many times. You'll get so sick of me. And I'll tell you then, I dislike that group very much. No, I liked them. And smart people. But they were telling me about a hospital built in the area. You know, you all know what I'm talking about. $1.2 billion. I said, wow. I thought, I didn't hear the original when it cost overrun. I said, wow, that's a lot of money for a hospital. How big is it? They said, no, that's not the cost of that. That's just the cost overrun. Think of what we could do if we had real people running our government. Okay, there's one. There's $1.2 billion. And I have friends. We know how to build ahead of schedule. We build buildings. They come in under budget. They come in heads. I have friends that can do this. If one of the people that I know, some New York killer builder or somebody, built that building, it would have been up 2 years ago. It would have been finished like a year after it started. It's not even a tall building. That's easy. But because it takes longer to build a tall. Height means length. Remember that, okay? But one of my friends, or me, the thing would have been thrown up so fast, and it would have been better than it is now. I'll tell you a little quick story. I got called before the United Nations. I heard they were building an extension to the United Nations in New York a number of years ago. And Jeff Sessions is such an amazing man. And he's great. He was the first senator to endorse Donald Trump. First really major political guy. He's a very smart guy. But I built a building across the street like for $320 million. And it's a very tall building, like around 90 stories tall. Okay, that's tall. Much taller than the United Nations. And then I built it for, I think it was $325 million, all right? Condominium. It's called Trump World Tower. Great building. Beautiful. Really beautiful. All glass. It's beautiful. Herbert Mushop of the New York Times, the architectural critic, prior to passing away, gave it a great review. So we built this building, and it's announced. And I get a call from, I think it was the Swedish ambassador, but one of the ambassadors, very good man. And he said, Mr. Trump, I'm with the United Nations. I'm the ambassador. Again, I think it was Sweden. It was a while ago. He said, I don't understand something. We're talking about doing an expansion of the United Nations, not a big deal, and it's going to cost $1.5 billion. I read that your building, which is 3 times taller or more, costs $325 million. Is that possible, or is that a mistake? I said, totally possible, Mr. Ambassador. They said, why? He said to me, he was good. He was a good man.
All right, we're going to continue to monitor Donald Trump and get back to him once he gets into some more substance. Coming up in our next hour, by the way, I'll speak live with Donald Trump's national spokeswoman, Katrina Pearson. She'll be joining us. But right now, I want to speak with Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein of California. She's the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, a Hillary Clinton supporter. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Wolf.
All right, so this was just Donald Trump's first television on-camera response to Secretary Clinton's acceptance speech. He said it was, what a sad situation. He said about her speech, he said it was so average. I want to give you a chance to respond to that. I'm also curious what you thought about the larger criticisms he received from Secretary Clinton. At least so far, he hasn't addressed those.
Well, I'm not going to do what he does. I sat here and listened to him. I listened to him attack, demean, and belittle everything except himself. And this man wants to be president of the United States. The world is filled with serious problems. Only he can solve them. This just simply isn't true. And I sit here appalled, particularly after 3 days of seeing a great part of America come together, not divide but unify, show a patriotism, and I think a sense of community, of family, and see a candidate who not only broke the glass ceiling, but set forward a program of exactly what she was going to do. I listened to Donald Trump, and all I heard was how bad, how terrible everybody was. Anybody that says anything about him, he's going to, one way or another, crucify. And that's what's happened. That's what happened with his Republican opponents. That's what's going to happen with world leaders if he is president. And I really fear for the nation, Wolf. I mean, I've been in Washington for a while. I know you can't get things done just by yourself. I know a president has to have a relationship with both political parties. I know you can't call people names and then expect them to come around and do what you would like them to do. So it's for me, and it is such a blemish on everything that happened last night. To hear the President of the United States say that Hillary is the most qualified person for president in history, including himself, and then see Donald Trump rip her apart. It just makes me angry.
That strategy worked, as you know, with the other 16 Republican candidates for the Republican presidential nomination. He beat them, some prominent governors, some senators. He's continuing that strategy. Let me get you to respond to a couple of the points he just made, then I want to get to some national security issues. He said, once again, he's been saying this now for a while, he's willing to have news conferences all the time, but right now he says it's been about 237 days since Hillary Clinton had a full-scale formal news conference with reporters. She does one-on-one interviews, but a full-scale news conference she doesn't do. Does he have a point there that she's afraid to have a news conference?
No, I don't think she's afraid to have a news conference. I think there is no woman on earth that gets more press than Hillary Clinton does. And I've watched her day after day at event after event. I can't answer why there aren't more news conferences, except the questions that come up are always the same questions. It's emails and it's Benghazi. Look, when I was chairman of the Intelligence Committee, both sides on our committee did a year-and-a-half investigative study into Benghazi. We published a classified and an unclassified report, and there was no culpability found. And yet it goes on and on and on. And I think that's part of the problem. And this is a woman, and I think you saw it last night. You saw it in what Bill Clinton said. She's devoted her life to public service. And she will be a terrific president if we can get her there and give her an opportunity before the opposition goes out to claw her apart, which is what he tries to do.
Let's go through some national security issues. You're the ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. The political arm of House Democrats, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, they said today they too, their computers, their emails were also hacked. They believe by the Russians. As you know, the DNC emails were hacked. The DNC believes by the Russians. This would be the second suspected Russian hack on Democrats. Do you believe, and I know you've been briefed on this, that the Russians are deliberately doing this in an attempt to affect the U.S. election?
I don't know what their motive is. Do I believe they've done it? Both the GRU and the FSB. That's certainly the way it looks. As Clapper said last night, all the evidence isn't in yet, but it's certainly the way it looks. Is it a problem? Yes. Both Adam Schiff, who's ranking on the Intelligence Committee in the House, and I on the Senate, have sent a letter to the administration urging transparency in what we find. I think it's time to put this kind of thing before the American people, and I think it's time to prevent it from happening. But it's difficult. And this is where we've got to work on encryption. This is where we have a lot of work to do to see that these systems are safe from hacking.
Do you believe, based on everything you've seen, there will be more leaks, more damaging information released in the coming days and weeks by these hacks?
Oh, I have no idea. I can't really answer that question. I think it's an indication that people are trying. For what reason, I don't know. And that's why I think what is found should be made public so that it can be part of the public debate and everyone can look at it carefully.
As you know, right after these two conventions, both of the nominees start receiving classified daily intelligence briefings from the CIA. Hillary Clinton will receive a classified daily briefing. Donald Trump will receive a classified daily briefing. You receive these briefings very often, although they'll get different information. Are you okay with that?
Well, we do not get the President Daily Brief, called the PDB. The intelligence committees get everything else but that. So consequently, most of us spend a lot of our time reading classified material. And it's very frustrating because it takes a lot of time, and of course you can't talk about it. But you do get a comprehensive view, at least according to intelligence, of threat, of problems, and that kind of thing.
We're also getting some breaking news right now, Senator, that the FBI and the Justice Department are now investigating a possible computer hack of the Hillary Clinton campaign, in addition to the DNC, the DCCC. Now there's an investigation that perhaps the Clinton campaign was hacked as well. What can you tell us about this?
I haven't heard about that yet. I'm in San Francisco. It wouldn't surprise me. I think it should be pretty clear that both campaigns should be aware that there's a problem out there. And I think until the technical people can come up with some solutions which are more ironclad, and I don't know whether that can be done or not, everybody should be cautious. And what I worry about are the big systems that control the major operations of our country, whether it be military operations or civil aviation or anything else. We have to see that these systems are free from hacking. Now, even the Defense Department has been hacked and hacked and hacked, and Defense has moved to try to remedy a lot of this. But the hackers are smart. They know the technology, and they use it. So we have to take a good look at that, and we also have to make some decisions about what the penalties for hacking into these systems are. We haven't tackled that yet. I'd never thought that the day would come when that would be necessary, but perhaps we should look at that.
Our Justice correspondent, Evan Perez, and our Chief National Security correspondent, Jim Sciutto, they're saying that this latest intrusion of the Clinton campaign was discovered by private investigators hired by the campaign. This according to law enforcement officials. So I guess the bottom line question is, do you believe the Russians are trying to tilt this election in favor of Donald Trump?
Well, I wouldn't be so bold as to say that right now. I don't know. I think the FSB and the GRU, this is military as well as CIA-type intelligence in Russia, is trying to put material together. Now, for what purpose, at whose request, I have no idea. But one can take some guesses.
Do you want to take a guess?
No, not right now.
And just to clarify, are you okay that Donald Trump is receiving top secret national security intelligence briefings?
Well, it'll be interesting if he can keep a secret. There's nothing I can do about that. He is the designated nominee of a political party. We'll see.
Let me wrap it up on a historic point that we all observed last night. You've served in the U.S. Senate now for more than 20 years. You've seen women come a long way in politics over this time. There are now some 20 women serving in the United States Senate, 104 overall in Congress. But this is the first woman, Hillary Clinton, to accept a major party's presidential nomination here in the United States. At this time, I want to get your reaction to that it's taken this long for a woman to be a presidential nominee.
Well, my reaction is this. It took us a long time to get to vote. 1920, the suffragettes. Women have had to work for everything they have gotten in society. Previously, it was very much a male-dominated society. Now that women are CEOs of big companies, they're chairmen of board of directors, they're surgeons, they're doctors, they're in the military, we still fight. We fight for equal pay. We're not there yet. And we have fought to break this glass ceiling, and we have. And that's a big accomplishment. And fortunately, it's a most qualified woman. It's a woman experienced and former Secretary of State, if everybody knows. And I think one last thing. I think after last night, I've talked to friends who said, I never really knew that Hillary Rodham Clinton did all those things, that it began so early, that she's had such a long-standing dedication to public service. And I think it's changed some views. And I think people saw her in a much more human way. This arena is hard. You get a lot of brickbats. It's very hard, very often, to change misperceptions about oneself. And you also get hurt. And she's been able to sustain all of this over a substantial period of time and come back. And she has drive, staying power, and motivation like no one I've ever seen. That's going to stand her in good stead as President of the United States.
Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.
We're going to have much more on the breaking news coming into the Situation Room right now. Sources telling CNN the FBI is now investigating the possible hack of the Hillary Clinton campaign. We'll be right back.